Chapter 2. Developing the right perception to get what you want. Now, before we start off this chapter, let's understand there's many ways of looking at any given situation. You and I have a tendency to look at a situation and accept that as the only viewpoint that is valid. Now, what I mean by that is that, for example, and I go through this in the coaching material, in the questions and the extra information that will be tied to this chapter about money, for example. One viewpoint we have is that we have to get a job in order to earn money, but that's just one way of earning money. Did you actually realize that? Now, it might sound a bit strange because we're so used to accepting this, approach in our lives when it comes down to money, but there's also different ways of earning money by, for example, creating your own forms of service, starting your own business, all sorts of stuff. And then when you start your own business, you might start out with the perception that you'll probably not be able to succeed. Now, you can change the perception. You can change the angle you look at things, and then you realize stuff becomes possible. That's the main idea behind this second chapter, that we need to measure whether the way we're looking at a situation is actually beneficial to us and our dreams, instead of obeying limitations and other doubts that might show up because of old programming inside our minds. Now, let's get to the text. When we talk about perception, we're talking about your view on life. It is our perception that usually needs to be changed in order for us to see and make use of the potential that lies dormant within. We have to change our view on life and about ourselves. We have to change it in such a way that we look at life from the standpoint of our own dreams. The perception should be led by your own dreams and not by any doubts or negative things other people might have told you about your own potential. In many cases, we hear absolute nonsense when growing up concerning our own potential. We might share our dreams with others, and they tell us that it will be impossible for us to achieve. When we were children, we might have wanted to achieve something, and our parents might wonder how on earth we'll ever achieve the very thing we desire. The same goes for any of your peers making these remarks. Have you ever had maybe a friend, or at least someone in general, and you shared your dream with them, and they almost laughed at you? They were like, yeah, right. Those remarks, they can really mess you up if you let. So we want to stop doing that altogether. You don't have to share your dream with anyone, but if you want to share your dream, you better be prepared for any ridicule you might get. It depends on the dream and actually the size of your dreams, because so many people aren't even used to dreaming in a big scale, and that's exactly what we want to do through the miracle of wanting. We want to become big dreamers and prove to ourselves, first and foremost, that we can manifest, that we can achieve these goals that we set out for ourselves, that we can live the sort of life that we really want to live, no matter how unrealistic it might seem to others. Because over time, we're going to make it a reality, and then they will say, well, I guess you were lucky, or anything else they might say about it. Regardless, they're going to see that we're going to manifest our dreams either way. But there's this tendency to let our words kind of control our minds, and we got to stop doing that. Now, because we had no idea at that moment in time how we're going to reach our dreams, we came to the conclusion that they're probably right. It's probably unrealistic for us to go for said goal, and so we gave up. We gave up on our dreams, all because we let our perception become infected by current limitations. And don't get me wrong, though, our parents did what seemed best for us, but more often than not, they can't always provide us the answers we need in order for us to get what we truly want. Have you ever noticed how from the moment we're born, we're placed into some sort of system? I would describe it as follows. You start out being born, birth, then you go to school, and then you go to work. Maybe you have a family of your own, and then we die. It's these patterns that we have come to accept as being normal, that are the same sorts of patterns that will mess up our perception about our own potential, and about what we think we can or cannot do in life. What's even worse, the average person never really thinks about what they truly want to achieve in their own lives. By now it should be obvious. This book is about the miracle of wanting something, and it's certainly miraculous when you discover you can get what you want if you want it with all of your heart. To reach this point within ourselves, we have to learn to let go of certain limiting perspectives we currently hold. We have to change our perception so that it can give us a new outlook on life, one that will enable us to see what we're capable of doing. And let me describe this whole process of changing our perception. I once wrote in a diary that having the right perception is like making a movie. The crew and cast have a clear vision of what they want to create. They then start working together in order to make it come alive on screen for all to see. Your dreams, the very thing you want, is like a movie in your own mind, and it's up to us to make it come alive on the screen of time and space. We can only do this effectively if we hold the right perception. And as I've stated at the beginning of the chapter, your perception must be led by your dreams. Just like how I described in chapter 1, your thoughts must be dominated by your dreams. By really thinking in the right way, we discover new ideas so that we can express and get what we want. Through the right perception, we learn to look at the opportunities surrounding us. In other words, you learn to look at your life from a place of possibilities instead of one of doubts and limitations. And truly make an effort to grasp the following. You can get what you want, but remember, it's a result. In essence, that's what we're after, a result, and every result has a cause, and the cause of individual results lies within our own minds. In order for us to get what we want, we're going to have to provide the cause. A negative perception will not help anyone, but viewing your life from the place as if your dream is already a reality will transform your entire life. By changing your perception in that manner, you will discover over time how you can express your own dreams. By expressing your dreams, it automatically means results start to shift. Another thing that's vitally important is whenever you think of yourself, you should think about the sort of person you would be if you'd already achieved your dream. Now, what sort of perception do you have? If you were to describe yourself, what would you say? I've spoken to many people over the years that always tell me negative things about themselves and their lives. It never seems to dawn on them that it's this negative perception that causes all the negativity in their life. I was one of them, and then finally I started to wake up and realize how absurd my own behavior was. Other people might treat you badly, and they might have said negative things about you, and because you allowed their words and deeds to lodge into your mind, you started to believe it. That's why I would like to suggest you change your perception. Let your heart be led by your dreams. Let it be led by what you want. Mentally look at yourself from a better angle. It can and will transform your life into something better, something more beautiful. Sometimes people have told me they were living in very negative circumstances of physical abuse when growing up. I would tell these same people that it's obviously not what they deserve, and if they want to live a better life, they need to change their perception about life, because it's clear that the current perception keeps activating negative stuff from the past. It's best to leave others alone and not get into a fight with these people who were abusive. It's better to build a positive vision so that they can use this newly created vision as a guideline to drastically change their own lives for the better. A highly positive person will sooner or later find their way out of negative situations. Whether the same people truly apply my ideas, it is up to them, but I sure hope they do. Regardless of whether other people apply it or not, the same process can work for you. Who knows? There might have been very bad stuff in your past. For many of us, we can recall negative events from our past, or maybe even traumatizing events. The question remains, is the past influencing you in a negative way? If so, change your perception about yourself and your past. Learn to be led by the vision of your dreams instead of the dead past. If you were now in the possession of what you want, how would you feel? What sort of person would you be? How would you behave on a daily basis? When you have found the answer to these questions, start to act accordingly. Let it inspire you. Let it guide you straight towards the fulfillment of what you want. Now I suggest you read over that paragraph again and really think about it, because what I'm asking of you here is to emotionally and mentally place yourself in a position where you already have what you want. So what do I mean by that? Through your imagination, you can imagine as if you already have achieved your goal. So in that sense, it doesn't really matter what your goal is, but if you can imagine, if you can reach that place of feeling what it would be like if you had achieved it, that feeling, if you can sort of unleash that within yourself, if you can make it rise up from the depths of your own being, starts to influence your entire being itself. It starts to influence your thinking. It starts to influence the way you act in this world. And of course, the way we act determines the results we get. So there's more to this than meets the eye at first. We're not just pretending something and hoping that it will work out. No, we're actually working an invisible law of our own being. You know, that power within yourself that can actually allow yourself to feel what it's like if you already had achieved your goal. So, for example, from my own life, it would be that I wanted to be a writer. And not just any writer, I want more people to read my book. What sort of book am I going to write? What genre will it be? What subjects will be covered? As soon as I know the answer, it creates a clear vision for myself. And start to act like this person right now, I think to myself. Begin to give expression to the very thing you desire, and you will have it physically. Don't underestimate it. This works for any goal, even your goals. You might have different desires than me, but the process is always the same. The clearer your perception is about what you want, the faster you can see opportunities that will help you to express your desires. There might be many readers of this book who are wondering whether this all really works the way I'm describing it. I mean, some of the things we want cost a lot of money, and we might not have the necessary funds at this time. How can we express something we cannot afford? The solution is simple. Change your perception about money. Instead of worrying about lack of money, you can better ask yourself how you could earn more money. There is an infinite supply of money available to you. Has anybody ever told you that? You don't earn money by working. Now, wait a minute. As I was writing these words, I almost had to laugh out loud because this is exactly how people earn their money. When you work a normal job, you're trading your time for money. But remember, the amount of time we have is limited. So how can you enjoy an infinite supply of money through this method? You can't. There is another way of earning money, but entering upon this new way means you'll need to have strong belief in yourself and your own abilities. It means you'll have to go for exactly what you want. Since you're reading this book, I'm assuming you have an open mind. You can also earn money by creating your own forms of service. This simply means you create a product or service that you can offer to humanity. Now, it's interesting to realize many people don't even consider this option. All they focus on is finding a job that hopefully pays as much as possible. In this case, however, we're talking about a completely new approach to earning our own income. Here too, people might get stuck. If they're operating with the wrong perception, you might think to yourself you don't have the necessary funds to launch your own created products or services. Change your perception. There's always aspects to your vision that you can execute, regardless of where you are right now. So the question becomes, are you willing to do what needs to be done in order for you to get what you want? If your answer is a resounding yes, I'm willing to do what needs to be done, you will automatically attract new ideas that will help you to earn the money, if that is what you need. This was another thing I had to change within my own mind. I have certain dreams and goals that will cost a lot of money, but I don't let this stop me. I know I'm better off focusing my time on serving humanity with things I'm passionate about. That way I know someday I'll have the money I need in order to execute bigger parts of my own dreams. Are most people looking at it like this? And sadly not. We all have experienced this sometime in our lives. We want something, but at this moment it's too expensive to do it, so we decide to let the idea go altogether. You have to learn to change your perception so that you can look at your dreams and goals with enthusiasm. Learn to look forward to the realization of said dreams instead. Don't use your perception to find obstacles, and if you see obstacles, don't obey them at all. Use your perception in such a way that you're always focused on what you do want, to keep the hope for achievement alive within your soul. Use your inner eyes to see the results you want. What I mean by that is when we use our imagination, it's like using a different eyesight, like the inner eyes of the mind. When people want something and use their perception to observe if they lack the very things they desire to have in life, if they observe that it may even be impossible to achieve, they will create enormous frustration for themselves. Be very careful. There is another way of looking at your life, which means letting your imagination take control. You may be thinking this is all pure fantasy. It's not real when I do this. Well, that's right. At this very moment it's not real to your senses. But sooner or later we'll have to admit everything humanity has created so far, and will still create, has always originated within their own imagination. That is the real cause of anything we will ever achieve in life. The way we use our imagination determines the direction of our individual lives. All the negative things of this world happen because people imagine negative things, destructive ideas, and then let that negativity be expressed through their actions. Let's be smart and use our imagination in a positive way. to imagine and dream about positive ideas, to aim for what you truly desire to have and achieve in life. I have heard both psychopaths and successful people say and give hints that they first imagined about the things they would eventually turn into their reality. The choice is yours. The psychopath can have a highly destructive perception about himself and the world. The so-called successful person has a perception of service, of sharing the very things they are passionate about on a massive scale. Once they achieve their goals, people tend to call them successful and many will cheer them on. Know what you want and know you can get it. You are not a special case, though you might think you are. A lot of people have a negative perception. They think others can be successful, but they themselves probably don't have what it takes. Change your perception. Learn and discover what causes results. Don't let luck determine the quality of your life. Look at yourself from the standpoint of fulfilled desires. Learn to act as if you're already in possession of what you want. If you have to start small, start there. Do the work. Let your dream come alive with and through you by expressing the inspired ideas you attract when operating with a clear vision. If you have the right perception, you can achieve all of your dreams. Now let's talk about money, because what you're gonna realize is that more often than not, if we want to live the way we want to live, we're gonna need the money, of course. We're gonna need to be able to afford living the way we want to live. In other words, if money isn't coming in the amounts that you should need to have it come in order for you to live the way you want to live, you want to learn how to earn more money. And that's what I'm gonna talk about through this audio file. It is about money. And there's probably a certain percentage of people that will listen to this coaching program and simply want more money. But they don't know how to get it. Well, the good news is that the ideas shared throughout this program can work for money goals too. It works for anything in life. So I suggest you listen carefully to what I'm about to share with you and then consider how you can and will apply it in your own life. Now, how are most people programmed to earn money? We are programmed to trade time for money. We are programmed to earn money at an hourly rate. We are not trained to earn money by creating our own forms of service. And we are trained to work for others and work with what they have created. The more you learn to create your own things and learn to share it with the world, the more money you can earn, since you wouldn't be tied to a set hourly income. It is not necessarily easy at first to figure out how you would like to earn money for yourself. I remember over a decade ago when I first considered this question. If I can earn all the money I want, what am I going to do? Well, there might be many things you would like to do, but it all boils down to what you love to do the most. And then ask yourself, are there people in the world who are currently making a living doing the thing I would love to do as well? If there are, study them and observe how they run their business, learn from them and apply what you learned. If there aren't any people that are doing what you would love to do, that puts you literally in a position to do something that has never been done before, and could have a powerful effect on this world, bringing you lots of money. Think about it. Don't dismiss your financial goals. We always have to keep in mind that the money we earn should be measured by the value we offer. So make sure you're offering something valuable to humanity so wealth can flow through those activities. The reason why it seems highly unrealistic or maybe even impossible to become financially independent for many people is because they currently earn their money at a fixed hourly rate. We were raised to go to school, get a degree and find a well-paying job. Because of this hourly income we earn, it's pretty much impossible to become a millionaire. We're inclined to believe earning a lot of money depends on luck. As you're studying these ideas inside this coaching program, you'll realize there's different ways of earning money. You could earn money by setting up your own forms of service, and that's when you'll realize that you can earn additional income by creating stuff. The majority of people earn their money based on an hourly income alone. The millionaires or billionaires earn their money through stuff they have created and shared with humanity. The customers of these wealthy people get a certain use value in return for the money they pay for those services. Since there's billions of people living on our planet, the more people you serve, the more money you could potentially earn. Money that is not set by someone above you or set at a fixed hourly rate. This is the secret of creating wealth for yourself. People think they can become wealthy by saving up their own money. And this is true. You could become wealthy to a certain extent by doing this. However, you first would have to be saving up money for decades before you ever build up a substantial amount of money. In other words, you first have to work for someone else for most of your life before you can enjoy a potentially wealthy lifestyle. I want you to really pay attention to the following. Every time we spend money, we are making somebody else rich. We spend the money because we can see a certain value in the service they are offering. If we were to set up our own forms of service in a similar manner, a service that offers a nice use value other people can pay us for, then we will become rich ourselves. In the end, our doubts about whether we can or cannot become rich or whether it's a matter of luck are all completely absurd. We are constantly spending money making other people rich in return for their service. But again, because we are trained to simply get a job, we're trained to make our boss rich instead of ourselves. If you create your own forms of service and offer this to humanity, you can become rich yourself. Then it won't be a matter of needing to be lucky. It's simply a matter of providing a good use value in return for a certain amount of money people will pay. If what you're offering is valuable enough, people are always willing to pay for it. That is essentially what we are doing already when paying other people for their stuff. Make sure the service you are offering is positive, uplifting, that it might even inspire others. That is what I call a good service. There's many ways people can get rich, and not all of them are necessarily positive. Be very mindful of this. If the service that you're offering isn't uplifting humanity and or inspiring them in a positive way, then it's probably not a good service to stick with, even though people might pay you for it. This all leads back into that one concept. The love of money is the root of all evil. There's plenty of people who earn money just for the sake of money alone, and who don't care about others and how they would get their hands on the money. They might put others in grave danger. Remember that illegally getting your hands on money will never bring you or others true satisfaction, because you'll always walk the risk of losing it. Now don't get me wrong, if you currently have a job, there's nothing wrong with that, as long as you make sure you're doing something you love to do. If in the meantime you feel like you could and should earn more money so you can act on bigger dreams, it becomes important to set up new sources of income besides your current job. You deserve to live the way you want to live. In order to live the way we want to live, we need money. What's the point of being alive if you can't enjoy freedom? If we're constantly stuck in a pattern of paying rent, paying for basic necessities, when deep down in our hearts we can feel we want more. Now this is how the majority of us live. But now you're discovering you do have the power to do something about it, and this power lies within your own capacity to imagine new and better forms of service that you can offer to humanity. Do you remember what it was like back in school? I can, and I remember clearly how they trained us to get a good degree, so I could then go out into the marketplace and work for somebody else. Personally, this never appealed to me. I wanted to work with artistic goals. I wanted to create stuff. Many people thought it was absurd. Many people didn't even believe I could create things. But all of them are witnessing now that I'm definitely creating things that inspire humanity. Now you can do the same as long as you have the courage to follow your own heart. Ultimately, money is nothing more than a reward for service rendered. Think about it. What sort of service would you want to set up in return for the money? If money is a reward we receive for service rendered, what sort of service would you set up besides your current job? If you start working on this, you'll realize you're starting to earn money by creating things instead of earning it on hourly wages. This should give you a totally new outlook on money. If you are not earning enough money so you can live the way you want to live, it should become a sign that you're not sharing enough with the world. The more you learn to share, the richer you can become. This doesn't mean we're supposed to work harder in order to earn more money. The wealthiest people generally create forms of service that also operate for the most part automatically, so they don't have to focus on it non-stop. I would suggest you set up income sources like that. Be creative about it. Earning money can be fun. You can decide how you're going to earn it, but remember, make sure you earn the money by actually providing something valuable and positive to the world and the lives of others. Chapter 2: Perception. Now, there are many areas in our lives that could use a change in perception. So the question becomes, which area is currently the most important to you? You have discovered our perception needs to function from our dream. This will allow us to see new opportunities for us to express what we want. Here's an example about money. The perception most people use is, we earn money by getting a job. This job then gives us a specific income. Maybe there's a way for us to get promoted inside the company and so we can earn more money. A different perception could be, money is a reward for service rendered. If I become creative enough, I can set up my own forms of service and earn money that way. In this way, I won't be stuck with a fixed amount of money I earn on an hourly basis. Instead, I can determine the size of my own income. Now, this will all work for different areas of your lives. The goal here is to get the perception that you would need in order to really achieve what you want. Because sometimes, or actually more often than not, we're sort of in the habit of only focusing on negative things, and we're looking at our situations from a negative angle, so we can't really see the solution. But we have the power to exercise our perception and change the way we look at things, so we actually see new opportunities arise. So depending on your situation, that is the trick here. You want to start asking yourself, is there a different way of looking at my situation? Open up your mind and try to find that different way of looking at your own situation so you can see a better way of executing your own dreams or outgrowing your current circumstances for that matter. Now, the summary is, when you look at your dream, it's important to notice what sort of perception you hold whenever you think about what you want. Are you used to seeing obstacles and all the reasons why it would be difficult to achieve what you want? If so, change your perception. The examples given earlier should provide an indication on how this process works. What we want to do is create a perception that gives us hope and not one of doubts. You want to mentally see what your life would be like if you were living the way you want. It's by consciously working with this process that you will discover you can change your perception about any situation. If you do it correctly, then you will feel it. Instead of doubts, you will feel hopeful. Instead of sadness, you feel happiness. Instead of being unmotivated, you'll become motivated. Since you're a part of this coaching program, of course, it might be a good time to write down any questions you may have concerning this exercise. The goal is to make sure you're able to change your perception so you can get whatever you want.